Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor. Today we've got the real-world highway fuel economy test on the 2022 Infiniti QX55. In this video, we're going to head out and do 100 miles on the highway and see what realistic fuel economy numbers you can expect at 70 miles per hour. Before we get started, let's hop out and take a look at it. Fun fact, the QX55, it doesn't have auto unlock doors, so you put the car in park and you still got to press the unlock button. That's probably a setting, to be fair, but strange setting. Anyway, the all-new QX55, a sleek, slope-back version of the QX50 crossover that they've had going for quite a while, one of their best sellers. This thing is looking sleek in this very, very dark blue paint. I really like that. Cool new rear design, definitely giving up some usability, but stylish nonetheless. So if you want to see more on the QX55, check the links in the description. We've got a sound test of the Bose audio system and a DM test drive. Now, why do we do this test? Well, the EPA's highway fuel economy test, which gives this QX55 28 miles per gallon, that test only averages 48 miles per hour. We know there are people who take their vehicles on long road trips and would like to know what sort of numbers they can realistically expect in the real world. So in order to do that, we're going to head out on the highway, do 50 miles out and 50 miles back, come back, fill up at the same pump using the same 3-click fueling method, and get a result. A few things to note for today. Outside temperature is 77 degrees Fahrenheit. Our tire pressures have been set to their door placard 33 psi cold, and we're going to have our climate control set to 73 degrees auto. Now yes, this will likely use the air conditioner, but that's how people use their cars in the real world, and without it, I would roast in here. So let's shut it off, fill it up. Now this is one qualm I have with luxury vehicles here in 2021. This thing is not a performance vehicle by any means. We're talking 260 some horsepower, and yet premium fuel is required for this thing. So that means we're spending $4.36 a gallon on gas just to fill up this very mundane driving SUV. So manufacturers, stop requiring your vehicles to run on premium. And if you want to help us out, we're doing these fuel economy tests with absurd gas prices. Hit that like button, that subscribe button, and consider signing up to become a Daily Motor member. With the Daily Motor membership, you get perks like members-only videos. We've got blooper reels on there. We've got a bunch of custom song sound tests. You can request music to be played on our custom sound tests that are viewed only by members. And it helps out the channel a bunch. So consider signing up today. Link is in the description, or if you're not an iOS device, you can see the join button somewhere in your video. 2.890 gallons going in for our initial fill. Before we actually start the engine, we're going to put the car in accessory mode, reset our GPS and our vehicle's trip computers, turn our climate control to 73 auto, and we're ready to begin. There are 4 different drive modes in the QX55: Personal, Sport, Standard, and Eco. We will be doing the test in Eco. We're going to head over to the highway, about half a mile away, pick up the test from there. The goal of this test isn't to hypermile, it's not to try to get the best fuel economy possible, but rather to see what sort of numbers are realistic for highway cruising. So in order to do that, we're going to get up to highway speed here at a decent pace. Fun fact, you have to really push into the throttle in eco mode. This car actually gets a heavier gas pedal because it's throttle by wire, so the car can vary the difficulty to push the gas pedal, and it gets harder to push in eco mode. It's really weird. I do not care for it. But either way, we're going to set our cruise control at a GPS indicated 73 miles per hour for this test. Now if we start averaging 70 near the end, we'll dial it down a bit, but midday traffic, I think it's going to be safer to go at 73. Say what you want about modern Infinitis, but they do drive well on the highway. Fairly isolated, although I would suppose I'd expect a little bit quieter cabin at this price point. And we are cruising, at least right now, at about 2,300 RPM at 73 miles per hour. Maybe that'll settle down a bit as the CVT settles in, but comfortable interior. Kind of surprised there's no thigh extension. 2-way adjustable lumbar, not 4. Alright, well, we'll catch up with you at the end of the test. We're going to do some testing and recording on this Bose Performance Series audio system, We'll see you at the end, and in the meantime, enjoy this time lapse of the entire trip.
again. It's a redskin.
Coming into the end of the highway fuel economy test here in the QX55. Not too bad, according to the car's trip computer. We're 2 miles per gallon above EPA, just barely sliding in at 30 MPG. Overall, highway driving impressions, not fantastic for this car. The lack of seat adjustability, relatively speaking, to other vehicles in this class, a bit disappointing. The other thing that's disappointing is for $53,000, you're not getting any sort of active lane keeping. Nissan and Infiniti have a pretty good ProPilot Assist semi-autonomous driving feature, and it's a shame that it just doesn't come standard. I mean, we're talking over $50,000, a luxury vehicle. Just give me the good stuff. Let it at least correct me if I'm coming out of lane. So that coupled with the very light electronic power steering requires you to, I should say, steer by wire. It's more than just electric power steering. It requires quite a bit of paying attention for just cruising down the highway, much more so than other vehicles. The other thing is this darn throttle when you're in eco mode. I think it adapts to vehicles in front of you, and also just how, as you press into it harder in eco mode, it resists a lot, and it creates you kind of getting no power, and then you have to really push into it, and then the car lurches you forward. Overall, I haven't been hugely impressed by the QX55 on the highway. That being said, I have been impressed by the Bose audio system, so if you are interested in that, check the link in the description for that review. That one actually sounds pretty darn good. So we're going to take it nice and easy back to the Shell gas station, fill up, and see what sort of numbers we calculate. Alright, we've got just over a quarter tank used of fuel, 108.7 on the trip computer compared to 108.4 on the GPS, and 29.6 miles per gallon on the trip computer. 3.815 gallons going in. 108.4 divided by 3.815 is giving you 28.4 miles per gallon. So despite that optimistic readout from the dash, we're coming back down to the EPA's 28 miles per gallon for the QX55. We do have a 16-gallon fuel tank in here, so 28 miles per gallon times 16-gallon fuel tanks giving you effective highway cruising range of 440 miles here in the QX55. That's a disappointing number for me. This is not a particularly large vehicle. I mean, look, you're dealing with very average amounts of rear space, again, a compact SUV numbers, and you got to put premium fuel in this thing. You're only getting 260 horsepower. You're getting 28 miles per gallon? I mean, come on. If you're going to do a lot of road tripping, get yourself a BMW X3. Get the 2-liter turbo. You're going to be getting much, much better fuel economy. It's going to drive better. Sorry, Infiniti. The numbers are there. The numbers are from the EPA. The numbers are in our testing. You got to do better if you want to stand out. That being said, if you do want to see more on the QX55, check the links in the description for our Bose audio test, our DM test drive, and any other coverage we've got on the car. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.